Detroit. The year was 1981 and the night was a hot one. Already on the scoresheet for a hat-trick, Turnbull was returning to the bench after scoring yet another goal, 4 goals. "That must be some kind of a record," said Turnbull's defense partner, Mark Hardy. Red Kelly, who excelled as a defenseman and a center, won 4 Stanley Cups in Detroit and 4 more in Toronto, Paul Sancya, the Associated Press, to which Turnbull shook his head, "Nah. Some guy got 5, he said." "Who?" said Turnbull, relaying his reaction in a playful deadpan, "Me. It'll be 42 years ago Saturday that Turnbull, playing alongside Borja Salming for the Maple Leafs, became the only NHL defenseman in the post-1967 era to score 5 goals in a game. And the timing couldn't be better for the organization to recognize the feat by presenting Turnbull with a J.P. Pickle Memorial Award, a trophy the team hasn't given out since 2003 that is meant to recognize a member of the organization for outstanding achievement. Now 65, Turnbull has been coming up in Leaf-centric discussions of late. Thanks in part to that 5-goal Groundhog Day outburst, Turnbull finished the 1976-77 season with 79 points. Salming, that same year, had 78. Those numbers still stand as the 2 best offensive seasons by defensemen in franchise history. But as Turnbull was saying Friday, he expects that won't be the case much longer. Toronto blue liner Morgan really went into Friday's game against the Red Wings with 50 points in 49 games, on pace for an 83-point campaign. "I like what I see for sure, from really. And based on the points I'm seeing, it looks like he should surpass it. I don't know why he wouldn't, barring injury," Turnbull said. "He's mobile. He moves the puck around. I don't know if visionary is the right word, but I think he sees the game very well." Turnbull laughed a little at the topic du jour in Toronto, where much has been made of head coach Mike Babcock's decision to move Reilly, a left-handed shooter, to the right side to make room for newly acquired lefty Jake Muzzin. Turnbull and Salming, playing together and setting the franchise standard for offensive production from the back end, were both left-handed shooters. "In my era, it didn't matter. You made your own adjustments," Turnbull said. "Borja, if I remember right, he usually played on the right side. If I remember right, but I don't ever remember it being an issue. Either one of us, it didn't really matter. I remember playing right D and left D. I played a little bit of forward, too. Right wing, left wing, center. We weren't that fussy. We just wanted to play." On Friday in Detroit, the man who coached the Maple Leafs during Turnbull's record season was the recipient of a long-delayed honor. Red Kelly's number 4, already retired in Toronto, was lifted to the rafters of Little Caesars Arena. To say it was overdue, well, consider that Kelly last played for the Red Wings 2 arenas ago. Not at the since-abandoned Joe Louis Arena, but at the ancient Detroit Olympia. In part because Kelly left Motown acrimoniously, scuttling a trade to the Rangers apparently made out of spite before landing with the Leafs. Friday's honor came some 59 years since he last played for the Wings. Heck, Kelly, age 91, was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame a little less than 50 years ago. Kelly, who soft-spokenly accepted Friday's honor while expressing his regret that I wasn't in better shape, was a remarkable player. A member of 4 Stanley Cup teams in Detroit, he won 4, 2, in Toronto. His final game as a Leaf was the clincher of the 1967 Stanley Cup Final, the last time Toronto hoisted the chalice. On Friday, in the visitors' dressing room here, a famous photo was projected on the big screen for Toronto's current roster to ponder. It was of Kelly and teammate Frank Mahovlich celebrating that most recent of Toronto's cups, Kelly holding up 4 fingers with both hands to signify the symmetry of his double franchise achievement. "You marvel at that," said John Tavares, the Toronto centerman. It was mentioned to Tavares that Kelly was a Norris Trophy-winning defenseman during his run with the Red Wings before converting to center as a member of the Maple Leafs. Asked if he could fathom making such a switch, in an era in which a move from left D to right D is hyperanalyzed, Tavares shook his head. "No. Not even close. As D and forwards, we kind of give it to each other. Who had the harder practice? What's the harder position? Centerman Nazem Kadri always says how easy it is to play D. The D have been trying to petition to get him a period to go back and play defense, Tavares said. You have a lot of respect for anyone who's really been able to have that type of versatility. We go back and forth and be able to understand the nuances of those positions and to play at a high level and be as successful as he was. It's pretty impressive. On the topic of a less position-focused game, Turnbull recalled his rookie year playing in Toronto under Kelly. A forward was hurt or sick. Kelly asked Turnbull if he could move from defense to left wing. Turnbull, wanting desperately to play and impress, calmly said yes. Later, in a bit of a panic, he remembers confiding with teammate Jim McKennie that he was in over his head. McKennie was great. He just said, "Who's your favorite left winger?" And I said, "Bobby Hull," and he said, "Well, no problem, then. Just pretend you're Bobby Hull," Turnbull said. So on my very first shift, I got out and I score on Jerry Cheevers. And when I come back to the bench, McKennie hollers down the bench, "Bobby Hull played for the Blackhawks." So from then on, I was Hawk. Turnbull, who now heads the information technology department at an LA area car dealership, said he and Salming had simple philosophy as defensemen: if we had the puck in your end, you couldn't score on our net. It was a freewheeling era, and Turnbull was witness to his share of full-bore moments. About a year before his 5-goal performance, Turnbull remembers giving Toronto captain Daryl Sittler a lift to work on the night Sittler unfurled an epic 6-goal, 10-point explosion. The story goes that Sittler was sour during the ride because Turnbull, already running behind, needed to stop for gas. Sittler had a habit of getting to the Gardens far earlier than the two eventually arrived. Sittler was cursing me all the way to the rink, Turnbull said. He wasn't too happy with my act. He said, "I'm never driving with you again." I said, "That's fine with me. Use your own car." Later that night, a historic scoresheet being preserved for posterity, Turnbull had a word for the captain. I said to him, "Nice game. I always told you being early is overrated," as Kelly might have said on Friday as his number 4 ascended into immortality. Better late than never. Dave Fezchik is a Toronto-based sports columnist. Follow him on Twitter, @DivashukReport, and air journalistic standards about the star sports action and reaction delivered to your inbox. New NEWSLETTERSPORTSIGN up.